Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Subjectively Successful. I'm Jordan, your host, and the guy that started the podcast. And today I have Miss Elizabeth Hébert of Hébert Financial, and you've done a lot of things. Like you are a pharmacist, now you do financial planning, but you're starting to do coaching and consulting within the financial planning space, and we've talked about all kinds of things. So if you had to write a Wikipedia page for yourself, what would you write? Tell me a little bit about it.
So I started off in pharmacy. I grew up very poor. We didn't have very much money, and I was smart, and so I wanted to go into something that would make money, and that
you're still smart.
I know. Yeah.
I was smart. I was like, you're still pretty smart.
I still am. And so I was good in chemistry, and so I fell in pharmacy, and I loved people, and so I wanted to be in retail pharmacy. So I was interacting with people more, and I went to school at the University of Houston, so I could get training in the medical center because I thought that would be the best fit for me and what I was looking for, and did that for many years. I was married. I got divorced and moved back. And sort of in that process, you need to reevaluate your life and where things are going. And I became a yoga instructor. I taught Buddha yoga for a while, and I did that. And then I became a life coach in the field of ontology, which looks at language, emotion, and body and the interplay of those three things within a person. And we kind of coach to that. We call that your way of being.
Whoa.
And so I did that for a little bit. And I was doing retreats that blended yoga and coaching, and then COVID happened. And so I got thrown into retail pharmacy and COVID vaccines and just, the pandemic. And during that time, I ended up, an opportunity came up for me to go into my dad's office. His secretary got diagnosed with breast cancer. And I said, I can leave pharmacy and manage your office. And he said, if you're going to come, I would like you to be an agent. So then started testing and came into this about a year and a half ago-ish, transitioned. This year I'm doing it full time, but man, I love it. It feels like just the coaching piece in the domain of finance. So, and that's more of what I'm passionate about. I'm helping people in general, everything is kind of filled into this holistic approach to well-being, so I'm hitting mind, body, the physical side from, my medical background, but then now the finance side too. So just trying to
oh my goodness,
do all the things.
Dude, you're a melting pot of success and energy. That is awesome.
Energy for sure.
Okay, so I feel so seen right now because when people are, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. When I start telling people, like, I've been playing drums for over 20 years, and I was on staff at a church, and I've been in sales, and I've launched multiple businesses or been screwed out of multiple businesses, and then tried this and tried that. I have a question for you. Really big right now in the marketing world is building a personal brand, right? Do you struggle with building a consistent personal brand since what do you leave out and what do you put in when you're getting people right now to approach you in the financial space? When you build your personal brand, do you include all aspects of you, or do you just focus on?
Well, all of it is all aspects of me, like all pieces of it, And so I haven't really targeted on like trying to market in any specific way. I just try to show up me as authentically as I can. And that's how I try to connect with people and clients. And, once you get to know me as an authentic way and that you can trust me, then hopefully, you'll want to invest with me and trust the advice that I give you in that domain. And then, there's coaching pieces to that as well.
That's actually really good. So do you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is?
No, I don't.
Gary V. So my goodness. So Gary V has just become kind of one of the pioneers of modern marketing. Like he told people to invest in Uber, and he told people that Facebook was going to take off, and then Instagram was going to take off, and then TikTok was going to take off. And he owns it's called VaynerMedia. It's one of the biggest media companies in the world. Mm-hmm. And he tries to tell people that he tells this story. This is really, really cool. Where like he was sitting in a Zoom call with a Fortune 500 CEO that's paying like 25 grand to sit at this table. And all of a sudden his daughter runs in. It's like, oh my God, is that Gary V off of TikTok? Because he does garage selling, trading cards, like all these. I mean, he's a multi. He wants to buy the jet. So he needs to be a billionaire. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. But he loves freaking public speaking, Pokemon cards and baseball cards and And he shares that content all the time. Well, he tells that story because he goes, one of the reasons we landed that contract is because he was like, oh my God, you should hire him for y'all's marketing. Y'all's marketing sucks. So he said, at the 9-figure world, a TikToker, a 16-year-old girl told her dad to go research me, who he was on a Zoom call with because his company paid to be on the call with me.
Wow.
He goes, welcome to 2024.
It's wild.
One of our biggest clients with the agency for that was the interaction. And he goes, if you think that is chance, it's not. It's effort and authenticity.
Yeah.
And so you're doing something that a lot of us are scared to do.
Yeah.
And struggle with is you'll get financial clients because they're like, oh my God, I saw the yoga thing. And then they'll be like, oh my goodness, I love this about you and I love that about you.
Yeah.
And they'll be your best friend. And then all of a sudden they'll be like, you do that financial stuff too?
Yeah, just on the side.
On the side. And they're like, oh my God, could you? You're like, that's actually my full-time job. And like, oh my God, I didn't even know that. Can we sit down?
Yeah.
That is modern branding and marketing. It's crazy. Most people don't do that.
Yeah. And the yoga and coaching is sort of secondary marketing for me right now, and I try to focus on that and then get to know me in that aspect. And then hopefully then you trust me enough to come and talk to me about your finances as well. But just to tie back to the authenticity piece, one of the biggest, when I was through my coaching course, one of the biggest things that I got out of that was just showing up authentic to people. The first weekend of that is like a Friday through a Sunday, and you don't know what you're getting into. You're going into a room with 20 people that you've never met. The very first thing that they make us do is stand toe to toe, looking at each other's eyes for, I'll say, maybe it was a minute, but I'll say 30 seconds conservatively. So someone you've never met, you're standing directly to them, looking for 30 seconds, and it's so uncomfortable. And you go through the whole, everyone, and then we go through the whole process of the weekend. And basically it's, getting up and sharing life experiences, and you're kind of coached, and we're working through a lot of processes. And on the Sunday, we repeat that process again. So we've gone through a couple days of training, and you stare at someone's eyes and you could do it for 10 minutes and not even care. It's not uncomfortable. And the biggest learning from that was the only thing that happened between Friday and Sunday was that you showed up authentically as you are. You dropped whatever walls you came in here with, and you were vulnerable. And all that was conversation. And so it's like, imagine if we all showed up that way all the time, how different the world would look and how different we would interact with people in a way.
Oh,
and so
100%.
that's one of the biggest learnings that stuck out for me. And so, I try, it's not easy all the time. It takes effort, but I definitely, that's my intention as I move through the world, so it's just different.
But I want you to know how, we could talk branding and marketing. I want you to know how healthy that is. And as someone who struggles with, I call it the Instagramification of the world, we compare ourselves to these unattainable standards. Yeah. And we try to concoct this version of ourselves we hope people will accept or celebrate or all these things. And we slowly lose ourselves. Yeah.
And that's the thing. As humans, we're all the same, and what I got out of coaching different people is we all have the same issues or things that we call issues. They're just wrapped in different stories or different experiences, but at the core of them, it's the same. And so if you can understand that what I'm going through and what you're going through is pretty much the same at the core of it, it's these limiting beliefs that we have, but our experiences are different within them, but everyone can connect to each other in that way. And it's just, one, being aware of it, two, realizing it, and just being conscious of how you're showing up, in that space too.
Do you, let me read this, hold on. Because I've got to go over this question. Okay, what have you found is a challenge to have? I gave you my riff off and celebrated you for authenticity is good in branding, but what is a challenge that you found? Have you actually had any challenges or frustrations in trying to switch between the different businesses and the different have you had any challenges?
Not for me really, because everything that I've done has been very authentically me in that moment that I'm going through it. Do you know what I mean? And so they're all once I learned what a manifesting generator was, it made my life a lot easier because I'm like, I'm not so crazy, to have all these different pursuits and attributes. But to me, it really all fits in the same. And it's like, I just put that hat on when I'm there and I can focus on that piece. I mean, we're all made up of so many different parts of us. And so it's just nurturing each one of those and developing it. I just, because of, I guess, the pace of which I move and my ADD, I'm able to do a bunch more at one time, and I've delved into it. So.
No, that's okay. So you mean I'm not a crazy person I'll be in the middle of a conversation with somebody and I'll say, just let me put my consulting hat on real quick. I'll change. I mean, let me take that off. Can we make it pretty? I'm going to send a cinematographer hat on now or whatever. And it's cute. I try to be cute, but in the moment, what they don't know is I'm actually personifying a different entire internal thought process.
No, for real. So in the coach, I talked about language, emotions, and body. Well, your body, the reason we utilize that in the coaching world is because body plays into emotion plays into how your body is. And so a body of an angry person, you can look and see, we typically can know that if someone walks in, they might be forward on their toes, fists, done, they might be red. Someone who is depressed could look, Eeyore is sort of the typical example of that, kind of slumped shoulders, head forward. Someone who's excited, they looked at eyes are big and you're looking forward and out. And so different bodies will give you different emotional stances too. So some of the exercises we do is step into the body of wonder and then say a script in that. And then the opposite of wonder would be anxiety. So then you can step into the body of anxiety and feel the difference. And so it really is embodying what you want to be. And so, that's just a different way of saying putting this hat on, it's like I'm going to embody this person. And that comes with a set of language, emotions, and body, to present from that way.
For me, I just thought it was sometimes a struggle with like self-belief, or well, not sometimes, often, like self-belief or imposter syndrome is, I have a background, and it's so weird when you have a background and God, I can relate to you so much. So in ministry, I got so good at like 10 different things because you try to do it for as little help, as little money as possible, right? And so they're like, oh my God, your website looks good. And you're like, well, I learned web design. Whoa, your photos are really good. Oh, I learned photography. Wow, your videos are really good. I learned that. Your sermon seems so knit and buttoned up, and the kids check-in, like I did a lot. The kids check-in seems so smooth. And I love the people who are in the parking lot. And I love how we got a welcome guide that told us what was coming up. And y'all made sure to help us feel welcome so that when we signed up for baptism, that it was all connected. And y'all emailed us on Monday and then called us on Tuesday to check on us. I'm like, I wrote all that.
Yeah.
It's wild. When I left that environment and I tried to embody a consultant and like an agency owner, it's like, oh, well, you're really good at a lot of things, but you're not great. And I'm like, it has been a constant struggle to be like, I'm like, actually have the belief to be like, I am really freaking good at a lot of things.
Yeah.
I put the time in, I put the energy in, and like I brighten up even when I say it. I'm like, what is so wrong with saying I am so passionate about so many different things?
Yeah.
And I invested a lot of time and a lot of energy, and that is okay.
Yeah, it's great.
You're one of the few, I'm serious. I literally sit across people and they're really good at like one thing. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
And I envy them, and I don't even notice sometimes. Other people have to point it out. They're like, God, when you talk, they are just they eat up you're pouring into them. I'm like, I thought it was annoying. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Well, because you're being authentically you,
Yeah.
And so people respond to that because it's so not common.
Yeah. Can you give me, because like my brain, I'm trying to, just so you know, I'm just full transparency. I'm attempting for us to have like an authentic conversation, but I want to set it up to where you have like an issue or problem that I can, solve or talk about. But you know what? I don't want to do that.
No.
Because I think you have enough authority and I trust you enough. I want to go the opposite direction.
All right.
As someone who really, really struggles with being their authentic self.
Yeah.
Like I do it like 80%. I always have reservations about, if I were a little different, or if I were a little better, or if I were a little taller, I always have a negative connotation to me being me.
Yeah.
what would you tell me? How do I fix that?
Well, the one I would start off and say that is a normal human response. Like everyone has that. We all do
Really?
that. And there is a normal, a set of sort of things that most humans that are a limiting belief. So it can fall into several categories, but like, I am not enough. I am not worthy, those types of things come up. And usually what you'll notice is if you're saying I'm not enough in this domain. So for the longest time, I was scared to jump over from pharmacy to finance because I was like, it would not be enough money, right? And so one of my limiting beliefs is I am not enough. Well, then I realized that it showed up in the domain of money and it showed up in the domain here. So realizing where that permeates everywhere. And so then focusing on the I'm not enough. So how do you reframe that is you tell yourself the opposite. So it's positive affirmations, and getting in the body of where you're trying to be. So if you're looking, say, Jordan, I'm here, and the person or the marketing, person that I want to be is here. And what does that look like? And envisioning your mind of what you look like in that, stepping into that. And in front of a mirror, it doesn't have to be a mirror, in a room by yourself, embodying that and saying, I am enough. I am all of these things. And it starts to train your body and your neurology to switch into those, to that belief. And also just giving yourself grace and knowing that, we always like, so what happens a lot is you're really good in one field and you don't want to go into another field or change direction because you're not going to be as good. And you're used to being you're using your words earlier, the authority in that. Yeah. But also there's power in saying I'm a beginner and I'm a learner, and you can't ever learn anything if you don't acknowledge that. So when I stepped into, I'm a great pharmacist, especially in retail pharmacy, I'm fast, I can multitask and I can do it. Finance is another world, but I just accepted that I'm a kindergartner at this and starting there, and which is a hard, you have to be willing to take that sort of, cut. I don't know if that's the right way, but to take yourself down that notch and just acknowledge I am a learner and I'm starting as a kindergartner, and that I am maybe a master in this domain, but I'm a beginner in this one, and just trusting that process and accepting it and going through that.
And I think that right there, that's very, very powerful because, humility and it can feel downgrading or degrading to admit that you may not be as good as possible, or that you have growth, right? But it's actually extremely authentic, and I'm learning this later in my career. Yeah. People have a lot of respect for saying, I don't have all the answers. Now, and then it's okay to follow that up with, but in this sphere of genius, I have a lot of them. Yeah. I didn't know that you actually sound so much more authentic by starting off with, I am far from having it all together. Yeah. I'm very gifted in one area. I do have weaknesses, and I'm growing in those. I wish I had known earlier in your career that just being okay with not being, you can't be perfect. Yeah. It's impossible. It's literally impossible. Progress over perfection is one of those things that I preach to everybody that I work with, but then in my own mind, I don't listen to it. Yeah. I need to get better. That's a good, keep going.
We also come from this false belief that knowing everything and showing up as a perfectionist is a powerful space to be from, but it's really not. It's what you're saying, showing up vulnerable is actually the more powerful place because you show up authentically people trust you more, and then you can get a more authentic connection, and then, we grow together. And the other piece of that too is realizing we call it the space of nothing. So if you're at point A and you want to get to point B, there's a space that you've got to exist in between those. Yeah. And it's not a straight line, it's a backwards and a, zigzag and a circle back a couple times. And a lot of times when we're in that, we don't realize that we're in that. We take it all and just say, I'm a failure, I'm a failure. And it's realizing that, no, I'm just in this transition space and there's process, and it's going to be ups and downs. And you will realize it. I had this realization this year, actually. The last few years have been rough, just personally, and COVID, all the things that everybody's been going through, and just personal stuff. And this year I realized, I was like, man, I was going through that space of nothingness and all of this transition between my coaching and trying to make these big changes in my life and create life in the way that I want to. And now I'm not where I want to be, but I'm much, closer to that end. And now I can look back and say, oh, that's what that is. And so being on the other end of it helps you see it, but just knowing that it is a process. It's not a straight line. It's 10 steps forward, maybe 5 steps back, then maybe another 20 forward and, 2 back. And so just knowing that it's a constant evolution and to give yourself grace.
I know. And that's power. Grace does not come easy. We set especially if you're an entrepreneur, you set really high expectations and you want to be so deeply respected and loved. I think, no one tells you how lonely the entrepreneur's journey is. And it's like you need like love, and people, we get love by people saying you did a good job. Don't know how healthy that is. And so, man, I think when you were saying that, I saw the problem I think that a lot of us do. The nothingness, if we draw the path from point A to point B, we draw this nice, pretty straight line because we're dreamers.
Yeah.
And as a dreamer, why would I dream of the pitfalls, the shortcomings, and the mistakes?
Yeah.
It's crazy. That sets us up for a lot of disappointment. It's almost like you dream this beautiful straight line, but you have to instantly, you're saying like right away, you have like a grace in your back pocket. You're like, what a beautiful line. It's not going to happen like that. I love, that's a great line you drew. You know what's amazing is if no matter what this line looks like after you're done, you finished.
You finished. And it was the journey. And it was the journey you went through that taught you everything.
You got to help me where I don't know if it's just the journey. Sometimes I'm such a performance driven because I come from sales and marketing. It's a really bad habit of mine where the journey, I want the payoff, the thank you, and the success so bad that I don't develop good relationships. I don't celebrate the journey enough. I'm trying to.
Yeah. And also, it's also like looking at what are your standards for success. So, like you're saying your standard for success is you just mentioned money and all these things.
Did you know that? Did you read the name of the podcast, right? Subjectively successful. Because I think success is subjective.
Yeah.
But keep going.
Well, no, I was just going to say like there's multiple facets to that. So maybe success is all money driven, but maybe it's also that I have a successful business that keeps me afloat and pays all the bills while I still have time to be with my family and friends and develop relationships. There's no reason why you can't have both. And part of like manifestation too. And if you're trying to create things, it's like, I want these things, but also add into that. And it comes easy. Like these things come to me and like not hard and it's easy,
Have you been hanging out with Paige? If you don't hang out, Paige Vidri.
No, I know Paige. We're very good friends, but
very, very, very adamant. She was so mad at me. She did like a little coaching thing with me. And I was like, and then she said something somewhere like, and those things come easy to me. And I literally, she saw like almost a grimace on my face. I was like, I said, why you do that? I said, oh, I feel undeserving. Like it flared up.
Yeah.
And it hurt. Like in the moment, I remember that when you said that, I think a lot of us with our brains, Tony Robbins, he talks about it as like, until you believe that you deserve, I remember one of his, one of his talks years ago. I watched this. I need to probably listen to it and lean into it again. Is you'll only achieve the level of success you believe you're worthy of achieving.
Absolutely.
And he added to it. I remember he said, God, I'm just paraphrasing because I know this is years ago, but he talked about because with most levels of success, we live in a capitalistic world. There are blessings. You usually do get paid better. You usually do have higher standards of living. There is usually a payoff. But if you secretly don't think that you're worthy of the respect, the honor, the money, you will never get it.
You have to believe it.
You got to believe it.
The world gives you what you see. I mean, we all are experiencing the world through goggles and through our beliefs and our past experiences. And so I've seen this as cartoon before, and it's two people on a bus and one person's looking at, to the right and it is a mountain and they're, upset with the view, and the other person is looking to the right and it's open, down the cliff and it's beautiful. It's just a matter of where you're looking. We get to choose how we look and how how we view it and
How
how
we
we see
perceive
it,
things.
you know, and it makes a big difference. And I start every morning. I try to at least work out, and I do a whole process of like prayer and meditation where I go through and I try to say all the things that I'm grateful for in my life, you know, from like the connections I've made, the people I've made this year, that I'm able to pursue this other career path, but then also to say, I am worthy. I am enough. I am abundance. You know, all these things. So every day I'm starting with the same mindset, you know, to move forward in the world and to hopefully attract those things to me. And then if it's a bad day, then you know what, I go to sleep and tomorrow I just get to start again. So just remembering
That's
that every
so
day is just a
good.
new one, you know, take it as far as you can that day. And if it's a bad day and if it's 2:00, you got to call it, you know, take care of yourself and then say, tomorrow I'm going to start again. But every day is a new day, a new opportunity to continue to push.
God, I hope I hope they're still listening. That one, just that one thing is worth the whole listen. Is you could do it again tomorrow. It's keep going. You know, give yourself some grace. Oh, that's so freaking good. Where was I when you were talking? I had something I wanted to say,
I'm sorry.
but then I got so like enthralled with how you were saying it. It's actually really refreshing. My brain kind of shut off for a second. That's the
some
best.
calmness.
You have a similar brain. That is a great compliment. I want you to know that.
I appreciate that. Thank
I
you.
wasn't going, oh, that was good. You should say that, or you could say this. I literally just went, I completely shut off.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard to listen and not to respond.
Oh my goodness. I don't even know where I wanted to go, and it feels really great for
It's
people
all right.
who
well,
have.
good, you've released something you were holding on to.
Yeah, no, that was so freaking good.
And well, I'll just have
Go.
while you're trying to get your thought. When you're talking about like, you know, it showed like I'm not enough, like usually there's a place in your body that you can feel that at, you know? So some people, you might be holding hunched over. It might be like a hip. And so it's also just maybe acknowledge, like taking a minute to close your eyes and scan your body and be like, where am I holding this? And how can I shift that? And, you know, body work is super important. Breath work is super important, you know? So just really holistic, treating yourself and being compassionate with yourself. And everything starts internally, and then you can get the external.
Okay. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay. How can people shake? Because I have a feeling that after everything we've talked about, that this is something that you can easily speak about. How do people shake a fear of failure?
That's a hard one. Literally, shake it off. So I will say right before this podcast, you know, I was stressed out coming in, and I went in the back room and I jumped around and shaked, you know, like animals if you watch an animal who's injured or harmed or they play dead, they get up and they shake it off. We try to hide our emotions. We try to hide, you know, what's really going on with us, but we need to process them. We need to experience them. So that's the first thing is
Externalize a little bit.
acknowledging, don't suppress it. You know, we live in our heads a lot and we're moving forward and we don't know our bodies and our emotions that are going on. So that's the first piece, like acknowledge it, say that it's okay. And then try to get a layer beneath that. Like, where does that come from? Where did that start? And so you can journal and write the whole, don't hold yourself back, write everything about why you think you're a failure. You know, I think I'm a failure. I'm not good at it because of all these reasons. And just don't hold back. And you go back and you look and say, what are these are actual facts of things that happen, and what are these are opinions?
Come on.
And so then you can look at facts and opinions, because most of the time we're living in opinions and not realizing it. And I could probably, if we sat down, challenge you and say, tell me the times in life where you were a success. And I bet you've told me several already, right? And so just by definition of what you've told me, you are not a failure. So you've created this story around a false sense of beliefs on opinions that are not based in any facticity. Brilliant. And so as humans, we live in this world of thinking that our opinions are facts. And they're not that. They're just opinions. And opinions are just stories. And if you can choose the story, you can create any story you want about your life, you know? So why would you choose to create a bad one and a negative one if you also could create the positive? I mean, wouldn't it be much more advantageous to shift that story just a bit? So, you know, you view it differently. And if I'm thinking I'm a failure versus, you know, I'm at success in a lot of domains in life, and I'm just a beginner right now and not a failure. Yeah. Man, what you look at the world is a completely different place. I mean, that's a very easy version of it. I mean, we say things
from just a basic mindset.
Yeah. I mean, these things are like simple concepts. They're not easy. You know, it takes effort to do it every day. But I mean, really at the end of the day, it's simple. It's just, you know, being committed to doing it every day, starting again, you know?
Yeah. You started with gratitude.
Yeah. I think everything starts there.
That's a big one that I challenge everyone here. The entrepreneurial journey is we struggle with gratitude because we see this futuristic, personified, successful version of ourselves that every day we're not there because our brain doesn't see time linear. It dreams like it's real. That gets us in trouble. Like it really, really does, because you're like, I see myself here, but your reality is I'm not there.
Yeah.
Right. And I've noticed that, so Stephen Furtick, do you know who Stephen Furtick is?
Not by the name.
He's a mega church pastor.
Okay.
So of Elevation Church, writes a lot of really good books. And he wrote recently called Do the New You. And it's really freaking good. And he talks about gratitude as the basis for everything, is understanding that, being thankful for choosing to be thankful, even in the extremes. Like he was frustrated because he was trying to work out and he had an injury and he was just so mad. And he said, as elementary as it is, the day that I go, well, I can't move my legs because I hurt myself, but thank God I've got legs.
Absolutely.
And he was like, what's crazy? I felt amazing. He goes, so I decided to take it a step further. And he started, like, every day. He goes through, writes down 8 things that he has gratitude for. Well, he's a preacher, so of course he took it a step further. Yeah. He wrote an analogy that I've been trying to use, and it's extremely powerful, where he says, the reason that you don't want to create this version of this visualization of yourself that you're trying to reach out to, it's on the horizon and you feel like you're on a treadmill running to become a version of yourself. He said, you know why you're so anxious? Because you secretly are not even sure if that's who you want to be. So you've created this version in your mind because of social media, and you deep down in your darkest core of cores, if you're a Christian, in your spirit, you don't want to admit, I don't even know if that's who I want to become, just because of my mom said I was not good enough, and my dad punched me, and my pastor said, you suck at this, you should become this. I've created this. Every day you don't get closer to it, you're a failure. Yeah. He goes, imagine standing on a treadmill, running towards an unattainable target, only becoming more exhausted and shaming and guilting yourself because you're making no progress. Absolutely. He goes, that's what you're doing.
That's powerful.
And I'm going, holy crap. What an example. He said, man, if you could just first get off the treadmill. Yeah. Hey, stop sprinting. Yeah. Okay. Get off the treadmill and stop trying to attain something. Let's reframe. Who are you trying to become? Yeah. Not in 10 years, not in 5 years, today. Yeah. That one example, man, you'd love that. I think it'd be a great book. You'd love it.
Yeah, I would. And also one thing, so what I learned too in some of my coaching stuff was that I lived in ambition a lot, which is thought of as a positive emotion, right? You're ambitious. We all strive to be ambitious.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I'm leaning back.
But with ambition, it is it's forward focused, but it's tunnel vision almost, and I can think about my time in pharmacy school. It was 7 years in school. Not much. I got married and I had a life outside, but most things were focused on school. It's tunnel vision, focused on getting my doctorate degree and that end goal. Yeah. When I went to my coaching course, I realized that a lot of my ambition was driven from anxiety, and that was the motivator of it. And that maybe for me, that all the things that you said, like ambition is not the most positive mood space for me to be in, because all these negative things that come from it.
I think people won't love and respect me until I'm way bigger and better than I am.
And so that's to me.
If I'm being honest.
Yeah, we feel that way.
Gotta fix that.
And so, like you said, you're being on a treadmill, and so you're running in place towards this goal. For me, the shift that I've tried to make is into wonder. So wonder is still in the realm of forward to me, but I see it as, instead of a tunnel vision, it's more open. And so you're moving forward with a wider view of what's going. And so if you have a target here and you're running to ambition, that's all you're going to see and that's all you're going to get to. You might miss all these other opportunities that could be out there. But if you're moving forward with wonder and possibility, then, this other thing that's here is going to show up for you, and you might be able to pivot towards that and see.
You give yourself the capability and the grace to pivot. Yeah. Because you're like, I'm not losing. No, I'm not losing progress. I'm not missing out on something. No, this was designed. Yeah. Why do I get okay, Elizabeth, tell me if I'm wrong. I bet you when you're really in that space, that those things come into your,
Oh yeah.
you're not looking for them. They come to you.
Yeah, because it's also that, like Tony Robbins talking
It's
about,
an
you're putting out this
energy. It's
energy,
an
and so the
energy.
universe is bringing it back to you. And so it's also getting away from limiting beliefs, and that's the only thing that's good for me, or I can only do this because whoever told me that that's all I could do, you know? And I was told when I was little I was going to have to go into medicine and I was going to be a doc, you know, and that was the thing. So that's what I did.
It was framed,
It was framed, but also like I love like physical things and coaching and talking to people and being more, you know, and so I would never have gone into the finance world, you know, had that been my only train of thought. But I mean, I shifted into wonder, and so much more has become available to me. And it started with a daily gratitude practice of writing 5 things I was grateful for every day. Like whether it was the sun is shining today, you know, it doesn't have to be these big elaborate things, but like I'm grateful my son ran up to me and gave me a hug this morning, or you know, whatever the smallest things are, just find those in your life, because I'm sure that they are there. And you know, it's looking for just those little dopamine hits in everyday life, you know, and they stack up, you know, over
That's
time.
so good. That, man, I could see why. I 100% could definitely see why people would just love to sit across from you. 100%, because you're excitable and you're passionate about what you're doing, but it's like it's rooted and it's foundational. That's a gift. I gotta tell you that is a gift.
Well, see, my fear is that because I jump all over the place, that people don't understand, like, oh, she's flaky, or you know what I mean? That like the perception is those things, when to me, it makes sense in my brain.
It's okay. Okay. That, by the way, we got to stop saying that, because sometimes I've noticed this in some bigger rooms, heavier, like high dollar rooms where people are paying a lot. I've noticed that if I did it on a Zoom call where I was like, hold on, everybody be quiet. I just need a minute. I got to process this. I would never have done that. That's just, that's a new level for me.
That's awesome.
And I said, hold on, everybody be quiet. I need a minute to process this. And just God level, oh, I was meant for this moment stuff came out after that. And people don't realize, if you'd gone through the self-talk that I've gone through, that was a huge moment.
How did that feel when you did it? I mean, it's probably the most powerful you've ever felt.
Bro, and you know what's crazy?
The scariest thing to do ever, and then you felt the most powerful
Absolutely.
ever.
And you want to know how fast we evolve whenever we do that? This is crazy. I turned that creative process, it was so profound that I said, why am I doing this for free? Like, this is a line item now.
Yeah.
This meeting costs $1,500. In the scope of their project and everything we're trying to achieve, to get me to shut my brain down off of everything else in my life and world and have moments like this that I have gone through hell and back for 20 years to achieve is going to cost something. That moment created that line item.
You shifted in that moment from ambition and forward thinking to a bit of wonder, to saying, stop, let me pause.
Yeah.
Let's look wider.
I wasn't fearful. What if they say, why is that a line item? Like, oh, I didn't think about objections or salesmanship, or what about this? What about that? I was literally like, man, I put in 20 years of hell for this moment of genius. It's not free anymore. This is now a line item. Everybody's like, oh, let's go to, because that means they get paid too. So everybody was in
and
a
you're
really
acknowledging
good
your worth.
100%.
Yeah.
That just, if you'll let me go on this, what's my podcast? See, I'm such a, I love to serve. Like, that's why I was at church for 11 years. So position of authority, it's for me, it's like, hey, I'm the guy, but how can I help? Like, that's why consulting is a really natural fit. Because even though you're saying, hey, you're the dude,
I want to be in the trenches with you.
I want to be in the trenches with you.
Yeah.
I wonder when I'll evolve to thought leader, where they just sit, where have the authority to everyone be quiet for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is that a goal that you want?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah. Okay. So the reason, because you're smiling, do you know who John Maxwell is?
Yeah.
John Maxwell. So I've always aspired to be like his formula, because he's the mix of church and business. So obviously it was and I heard him preach in person one time, and the connection that you have, it's such a gift. You feel like he is literally, it's just y'all two in a coffee shop together. Yeah. And there was probably 6,000 people in the room. And I'm like, okay, I want that. and not for me. I want to know what it, I do. I want to know what it feels like to have that much of an impact with your voice.
Yeah. Well, people just want to be heard and they want to know that you hear them. And that's really it. So if you sit with someone authentically and let them speak and be themselves, you get that. I mean, it's not even trying, it's letting yourself sit back and to like be of service to someone else. But I mean, that's what people want. Ask more questions than you talk and let the person you're talking to speak more. And we all want that, that's the easiest way.
It's so crazy.
Simple, not easy. Simple, not easy.
Simple. It is not easy. The transition from a solopreneur to an agency, it was actually really scary for me to tell people. They say, well, I thought you were doing the work. I said, well, I found that if I just cast the vision and let people who are better than me go do that. And I just thought they would be like, well, if they're better than you, why am I paying you? Like you play it all out in your head. And they're like, oh, dude, that's so smart. So that's better for me. I'm like, oh, it's way better for you.
Yeah.
And then it's funny you say just sit and listen. Most of my clients are like relatively atypical dudes right now.
Yeah.
That are like, hey, I'm really badass at ABC. I suck at marketing, branding, and everything else. Can you just do all that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you want any input? Not that much. You are awesome. And I'm going, what?
Yeah.
That's all in evolution. I kid you not, the last 6 to 8 months, it's been huge.
And they don't even realize they're doing it, and they're helping you to feel more powerful and embodied in yourself and confident in what you're doing because they're letting you show. Yeah.
As a creative person, when someone says, do you ever do like dream scenarios where someone says like you dream scenario, and I always try to explain how my brain works in these weird ways. I'm going to ask you yours and I'll let you finish, wrap us up. Is one of my favorites is, if I could go into a C-suite, this is such a weird one. If I could go into a C-suite with like 8 to 10 really high level executives of a 8 or 9 figure company and them say, hey, we just, for some reason, we have this one bottleneck that we've all tried to fix it. And I don't know why, we just can't see whatever. And it could be like they pulled me out of the hallway.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas? We don't even know who you are. You have any ideas? My super awesome, crazy brain gets so excited for that level of trust. Yeah. Like, we don't even know who you are. And I'm like, I don't even know who you are. I don't even know what this business is. 30 seconds. Tell me what you do. What's the problem? This thing, this superpower, I don't know what happens. It just goes, I just start talking.
It's easy.
And the answer is right. And I used to feel guilty about that. I don't anymore.
Yeah,
I don't anymore. I'm like, I try to explain that. That's one of my like weird dream scenarios, is a crazy high level, super stressful, everybody going, maybe it's because I watch too much TV.
Yeah.
What's one, where do you, so now you know mine, my weird current scenario dream. And then, I want to become a John Maxwell. I want to hear, if you saw yourself like in a few years, well, where do you want to?
Well, one of, my dad has come, we were very poor growing up, and he was at the plants and left and started a construction company. And then he went through the same coaching things that I did, and then left construction and started New York life. And literally in high school, my bedroom was a mattress on the floor of his tool shed, and then he went to New York life and became #1 agent and has been consistently in the top, 30 for several years. And
people assume that now that you, like, look, you're super pretty, so well-spoken, and your dad's obviously successful. And they were like, oh, must have silver spooned it, didn't you?
Yeah, no. Like, I left the door open at a family holiday, and someone said, were you raised in a barn? My dad was like, you can't say that to this one. She kind of was. But, so like some of the things I'm manifesting now in my vision is, I would love to be #1 agent, sometime. And so I vision myself on the stage. I'll go through the whole process of walking up the stage, seeing myself on the stage, seeing my parents sitting there and the people. So that's part of it. But part of my everyday meditation is I meditate on love and trying to be a beacon of love and light in the world, just because I think that we need it. Most people need it. And so that's my focus on a daily basis, is how can I show up and make people feel seen, feel heard, feel loved if they need to feel that. And so that's more of what I focus on. I mean, maybe I should add a dollar figure or something into it, but that's honestly.
Well, it's okay. I might recruit for you to come coach for me. You don't know, but the new agency has an entire strategy and consulting that I want to build. Let's talk dreaming. I actually want to, in the onboarding process, select the consultant or coach that fits within the scope or the type. So if someone comes on and maybe they have a financial background or they're going into coaching and they're struggling with self-belief, they might be making tons of money.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, hey, you don't need to talk about marketing. You need to talk about love.
Yeah.
You need to talk about loving yourself and trusting yourself, believing them. Be like, oh my God, you can help with that. Oh no, I'm the money and marketing guy. But Elizabeth, that's her.
Yeah. And
I have this crazy business idea where we're able to consult, because I think that's where business is going. I think the solopreneur and small scale person with like a big digital presence is the future. But look at what we're dealing with. We haven't even talked strategy yet today.
No. And look, people now, especially in a post-COVID world with all the anxiety and stress, and the world is a crazy place right now, globally, what's going on. We want each other. We want people. We want connection. I think people crave that more than anything. And I think if we start with that as a base, then all the other things are available to you. And you can't do anything in the world solo. Like, we're humans. We're made to be in community. We're not supposed to be hermits, And so you need a team around you, and you need those people, like, just in your business team. Like, if I'm not good at this, who do I need to have on my team to pick up those those extra areas? So, if I'm good at marketing, but I'm not good at sales, let me add a salesperson or 100%. So you need to create your team around you for where you lack. And, that's people and connection,
Well, I'm just overcome. Church taught me after 11 years, if you can't do it, figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
The only way you get dopamine is if it's not, look, I loved it. God, it was the greatest 11 years ever, but it was very difficult. It was, you don't get the high five until you master another skill.
Yeah.
That's actually really exhausting and so,
it is, but every day you can take the small wins that you had all day. So, like, what were the wins that you had today? So before you go to bed at night, say, what were my wins today?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I did not even posting about the podcast and rallying people into this and having this opportunity. My self-talk was crap Monday and Tuesday before I even posted.
Yeah.
I was like, what if nobody even answers? What are you going to do? What about this? Oh, you're going to invest thousands of dollars into the production of this and not do it yourself? What if you don't make any money back? Like, I just went through all the negatives and I was like, what? Last week, you literally sat down and said, oh, I'm going to rope it into cost of acquisition. I know exactly how much it's going to cost me within 20% variance. I know that there's enough people that believe in me for at least me to relate and give value to an audience. And I'll leverage it. I'm just wrapping off. I'll leverage it into the launch of my new membership and revealing my new agency. And I was like, I'm a freaking marketing consultant. People would pay me for this advice. Go do it. Like, what are you doing? And then I post one thing and 19 people later. And even that group, you want to talk about community? Look at that community. I have a feeling we're all going to be, that's going to turn into another thing.
It's great. You had no problems getting people.
Yeah. I'm like, what in the world? And I've been by myself in that office going, no. Nobody needs to see, like an ogre or something. Yeah. Nobody needs to see me until I figured this all out.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. I'm actually, we're doing pretty good.
You are.
Like, we're doing pretty good. Let's go hang out with some people now. This is lonely.
It's so fun. Yeah. And we can get a lot in business too. And I think people, like, I get caught a lot in the thought and like the ideas of what I'm going to do and not the action. Like, you got to have action. Action is where it is. And so give yourself some time to think, but if you don't put it to action, it doesn't matter. So make sure you're doing an action step every day. Action is important. And also, I will say, the more elaborate the stories are, know that you're fear talking. Intuition and things that are like divinely guided or whatever that is for you are going to come very directly, very straightforward.
Usually single step, like one clear
step. So if you get in these all stories of why this is not going to work and, this huge, know that is your fear talking.
Yeah. Be quiet. He was like, I walked him through the whole thing and all the concerns. He was like, why don't you just go post on Facebook and we'll like do it this weekend? I'm like,
super easy.
Oh, I could. All right. Yeah, sure. And then 2 days later, I was like,
it's just scary being vulnerable and putting something out there,
Yeah.
It's scary to be vulnerable.
Super powerful.
Yeah, it's super powerful.
So do you think, I think I'm really onto something with, one of the things that I'm launching is I know that it's a need. I've been saying this every episode because it's just so new. It's so vulnerable. I was so excited to become such a big shot with all the cameras and get a lot of people, when I run around with a camera, people are like, what are you, like 28, 30?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I'm 38 years old. I got a 20-year career in me. And I'm like, oh, well, I priced myself out of being able to just sit down and talk. Because I'm like, I have so much overhead. We have all these cameras. Like if you bring a team, it's like $400 an hour. I've priced myself out of being able to talk to startups and dreamers.
Yeah.
So very clearly prayed about it. I was like, oh, well, I know my new entry-level product. I'm going to start a membership called the Growth Hub, Entrepreneurs Growth Hub. And I'm going to keep it under $100 a month. I have a full database and support team where when you have a one-off question, tech, growth, marketing, website, all the stuff that hangs us up.
Yeah.
You can go ask. My team will record a Loom video, tell you how to fix it. Then we'll database the video so it's searchable. So someone else may ask the question. You'll just be like, oh my God, they recorded that 3 months ago. Here, it's right here. Yeah, and then have support-based coaching and community so that people are like, I am not alone. Yeah. Hey, I'm struggling to make payroll this month. If you were in my shoes, what would you do? Imagine if they had the safety to be able to freaking say that and have a bunch of people be like, you can do this. Yeah. My Christian friends are going to be like, I'm going to pray for you. Yeah. My other people that are really strategic and cold will be like, do you need to force that process to fix it?
Yeah. Your coaches will be like, we're going to manifest this.
Let's manifest this. And then your other people who I already know, they got the people that are people, they'll be like, well, what about your employees? Can they fix? Yeah. That will happen. Like that's
it's a beautiful vision.
Is that really good?
I think it's great. And especially because it's hard. Like, I'm transitioning from medicine into finance and, that's a big just hat on its own. And so then I've got to add networking and marketing and, do I have the time? Like it's one-on-one. It's hard to find the time. And financially, when you're just starting out, that's a hard transition to make. And so that is so appealing to me to have, something that's affordable on a monthly basis with a group of people who can, help me work through ideas or, just spread my name.
100%.
Yeah.
And then you go, that's conference. Well, I mean, it's already happening. Like my girl who's filming all the tech videos. See, I'm learning to outsource. Yeah. Big financial investment, but like all the tech videos and the walkthrough videos that we know 9 out of 10 people ask, like how to set up a Google My Business, how to start a WordPress website, how to create like a basic logo in Canva. It's like the top 10 questions every single person asks. I was like, I'm really struggling with this. I will pay you a lot of money. You are awesome to go record all of them and just put them there so I can now officially tell people it exists. She's like, really? Who is this Jordan? Yeah. I thought that if it wasn't your face with your $10,000 camera, you wouldn't want to show it to people. I said, it's the quality of the content and the community and the interacting that matters. Yeah. If you're the person that gives them the information and I was the person that introduced them to you, they're still going to say thank you. Yeah. And she was like, her name's Natalie. You will definitely meet her. She's like, I love this Jordan. Like, what in the world is going on? So that is like, that's really happening. I mean, the sales page is done that I'm using all of this content to get people to tell people we've been working on this for a really long time. This is a dream of mine.
Yeah, and the little bit of income it's taking you to pay her, I mean, it generates so much more, because it's so small. It's going to generate more space for you to create the other things that you want to create and do that, and it's going to bring more to you. So, it's just like taking that little bit, in faith and being like, I got this. And it's,
I know. It definitely does take some faith that the production of all this and like the editors and all that stuff, we always want to like, what's that going to be like $500? Well, then if you want to go into more of the big leagues, I have learned if you really believe in yourself, it's into the 5 to 10,000. Like it's a real investment. And so thank God my team and this guy over here, just my number 2, Charlotte, you will definitely meet her, she said, you're telling me you don't believe in yourself enough to where if someone gave you $7,500, how would that work out for them? Oh, it'd be great for them.
Yeah. Know your value.
You can't pay yourself. You can't pay for yourself. I said, oh, what a breakthrough.
Yeah, that's great.
So in some of the stuff you told me today, I cannot wait I'm going to have to re-listen to my own podcast. Yeah, and the other thing to listen to you. I'm just going to be taking notes on my own podcast. Be like, damn, Elizabeth, man, that was good right there, dude.
I appreciate that. But the one thing I did that was coming to me while you were talking, and when you were talking about fear of failure earlier, and I do want to add, we will tend to say that our whole life is a failure when really there's lots of different domains, so like you have the domain of career, you have family, you have job, you have personal relationships, you have like all these things. And it's like, we never usually discern between each one of those. And so, we could say, oh, I'm a failure in life, but really, how are your personal relationships? Are they great? How is your, spiritual life? Is that great? Yeah. Is it just in this one domain that maybe out of 1 to 10, you're like a 4 or a 5 instead of whatever? So it's like, don't take the whole thing down with just like one little piece, but you also have to just be aware that that is just one piece of the wheel,
Yeah.
And that you're a success at every other area.
That's really, really good. Yeah. Chase's thing that he spoke about earlier. We have 5 minutes left and you need to go. But he talked about how this this really powerful balance between like understanding that like holding yourself extremely accountable, having lots of self-discipline and setting really, really harsh goals. If you can somehow be that person and balance grace, it's like a hack to success. Because you usually go with the extremes. It's like you have so much grace, you become complacent, and you don't grow, or you're so harsh on yourself, you have no grace that you don't grow. Yeah. And I'm sitting there like, as you're talking, it's almost that wonder. Wonder. Is that a little yeah. Well, I replace the A with the O or the O with the A. It's kind of the same thing. It's like, well, hold on, wait. You gotta be like, I'm gonna open myself up to, I'm not so laser focused and so close minded that if I don't achieve this, I'm a failure. It's like, wait, let's open up the blinders a little bit, be open to other things and be more vulnerable. Yeah. And it's okay if it doesn't always work every single time.
Yeah, it's okay. It doesn't make you you're not a failure, You're not a failure. And even if the thing you're going for fails, you're still not a failure in life, that life is made up of so many things. And it's like, look at how you define it and look at what is success for you. And, what are those most important things? And, you're still a valid human and worthy of everything in life, no matter what you have, just by existing, by being born here in this time and space,
That's so good. It was a miracle to even exist.
Yeah. I mean, how lucky are we that we all exist, that we've come into the world at any time, One concept too, in my coaching course was the idea of possibilities. And I think if you go through every day thinking this, it shifts your mindset. So like if you take a drink, it's not just a drink. It is the possibility of nourishment. Food is the possibility of nourishment. A chair is just not a chair. It's the possibility of rest. And so if you looked at everything as a possibility of something, that emotion of moving through the world is going to make you see the world much differently and things are going to show up a lot for you. So just live in possibilities. And that's a piece of wonder too,
Dude. Okay. Well, that's the bow. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
That is so freaking good. Okay, so I'm just gonna have to can you just record your gratitudes and just send me a voice message every morning? You're like, yes, it costs.
No.
I'm gonna teach you.
I don't charge for anything. I gotta learn that.
It will soon, and I'll teach you. If we do this again, I'd love to walk through like a very authentic and not cringe way to start thinking about how to increase even though you might know you're valuable, your perceived value and increasing the value enough of where you can charge money for things.
Yeah.
And then figuring out how to do that, because it feels like it is weird to go from just serving and loving to be like, oh, now this is transactional. But I've done a pretty good job with it. And I think that I could help you nerd out there and you be like,
yeah, because I need some help definitely. And that's a hard area for me.
It is hard.
I would rather just give it.
It's hard for everybody. Yeah. It's hard. Anybody that has a good heart, they're like, crap, I have to start charging money now. What if they say no? Or what if I charge and then I don't deliver or blah, blah, blah. Yeah. We play it out in our head, which is exactly the opposite of what we just spent an hour trying to fix. Isn't that crazy? Right. So, okay.
And so also know that all of us who are here talking about, we all have the same things. Like everybody's going through the same stuff as much as I'm saying all these things.
Good. There's nothing unique under the sun. No. That can actually be freeing.
Yeah.
Like that literally can be freeing. And so thank you for reminding that. So good. Now, here's what you get to do. I want you to look right in that camera and I want you to tell people, who you are and how can they find you on social media?
Okay.
And, if they need help with financial planning, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Ask them to reach out. So give them a little elevator pitch.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Hébert. You can find me on Facebook, Elizabeth Hébert, on Instagram, Elizabeth Marie Hébert 3. Also, I have a Facebook page for, I'm a financial planner with New York Life. So Elizabeth Hébert, financial, representative, I believe is what it says, but a link to it's on my Facebook page. But you can find me there. Any financial needs that you need, whether it is general budgeting, financial coaching, retirement planning, investing, give me a call. Consults are free.
That's what's up.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Okay. Well, great job. We definitely need to have a conversation about converging some of those together.
No, right?
Because I want you to experience this. It's like, hey, what's up? My name is Jordan. If you are struggling with growing your brand or your business or modern marketing overwhelms you and you want help overcoming that fear, go to jsellers.co, grab some of my free resources or reach out for help.
I need that.
I want that for you. Okay. Now, your elevator pitch was better than mine. Mine wasn't. I got it sucks for a marketer. That was like a 4
I don't know how to sell myself. Like, I'll sit and have a conversation,
Mine
but
was
ask
like-
me to try to sell something.
Your elevator pitch was better than mine. Mine was like a 4. Yours was like 8.75, if not better. And then you had to get to your tags, and I was like, "Oh, poor baby."
I know.
It's okay. We will fix that.
Okay, I appreciate
Next
that.
episode.
I'm a pre-K in that area. I'm okay with that.
It's okay. I'm pre-K apparently, and self-belief and hustle culture overcoming and all that
I
stuff.
might be like in middle school in that area. We're getting there. So
That's okay. You
all
can
right.
help. A middle schooler can protect an elementary.
yeah, I got
All
you.
right?
I got you, boo.
Thank you so much for your time.
thanks for
And
having me.
just
Appreciate
can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to all the things you're doing. It's great.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode. Make sure to take a moment to rate the show, leave a comment, and share with someone you care about. For more ways to connect with Jordan and his team, visit jsellers.co.